All right. Last night, as Jamie and I were reading the comments, I got a comment from a lady who said she is going to go in for hip surgery and she'd like me to talk a little bit about my hip surgery. So I said, all right, I will, if I can remember it. All right, here's what I'm wearing today to church. This is a size 14. Still have tummy problem, but it's getting smaller. And so someone asked how I'm losing my weight. I had a gastric bypass. And so I have no trick. That was the trick. Although, when you have a gastric bypass, your freedoms are taken away from you. And in that, you can only eat 3 or 4 bites of food. If you try to eat one more bite, you'll throw up because it's just right here. It comes up. It only has happened to me once. And then I learned, don't try to eat the last bite. Like so many times I'll just leave the last bite of meat, the last bit of sandwich or whatever, because you can't force it down. This is really cute. Maybe it's too dressy. Has little, sparkles here. Haven't worn it forever because it didn't fit. Okay, and then I'm taking today my purse that Tyson and Cindy gave me for Mother's Day a year ago. Michael Kors wonderful purse. I have it all packed. So I want to do this before we go to church, and I have about an hour and a half, so plenty of time. I don't know if I'll wear these glasses because it might be a little much. I don't look good in white glasses or clear ones. I look better in dark glasses. But I have to see. All right, let's see if it says a date. I try to get out my old calendars to look at the dates of when I first went in. Let's see if it has it on here. It does. Okay. It was in 2019. And this was in December. Now, my hips started getting bad like in my 50s. And I could hardly, it would come and go. Sometimes it was worse than other times. This has shoulder pads. Should I take them out? I'm not going to. Anyway, and so it would flare up at times and be worse. And I tried everything. I tried magnets, which seemed to help a little. Because magnets, you have iron in your blood. And I thought it got the blood going through there better and everything. But sometimes I was real laid up. And my right one was worse than my left one. And sometimes I didn't think I was walking with a limp. You walk with the limp because each step you take is painful. Ouch, 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 And so sometimes it was worse than others. If I had to do a lot of walking, it got to be so bad that I had a cane then because that helped me lean on something. And, you don't want to do it when I'm in my 50s. I thought, oh, everyone's going to think I'm so old, but you don't even care because the pain is there and you don't want to fall. I remember one time I was at church and Jamie dropped me off at the front door. And so I walked in, but I didn't know where he parked the car. And so after church, I'm walking out and I don't know where he was. I thought he was in the car. And so I walked to one parking lot and the car wasn't there. So I had to walk the other way and my hips hurt so bad and locked up. I could not take another step. My legs were trembling. And Trevor lived down the street. I had to call Trevor and say, Trevor, I need help. I can't take another step. He ran down there as fast as he could. So cute. Anyway, he goes, what do you need? What do you need? And I said, I need a car to sit in to take me there, a wheelchair, something. But anyway, he ran and got his car, and then we found Jamie in the car. And I told him, don't ever leave me stranded like that before. I can't even walk. I was crying practically. It was horrible. I just had to sit down right in my Sunday clothes on the curb. So that's how bad I got. Sometimes, and then at home, I got to use a walker all downstairs. And then it got so bad, I would have to climb the stairs on my hands and knees and climb up because I could not lift my leg. Well, Trevor was really good friends with the surgeon. They went to school together and in Laramie College and everything in Laramie, Wyoming. So he grew up with them in Scouts. So he called him, Sam Linford. He called Dr. Sam and said, my mom is really bad and she's going to be 60 and qualify for Medicare next month. But can we get the motion going so as soon as she hits that age, she could get it? So he said, yes, we can. So he set me up for x-rays. And that was December 2nd of 2019. I went in for x-rays. And these are the x-rays, which I could show you, but it's not really going to tell you anything because I don't even know what they're supposed to look like, but he made little marks on them. And he said that I had bone spurs bad, and that's what was so painful. And that this one, there was no clearance in my right hip at all, and it was bone on bone. And I know I could not move my leg out one bit. It was like fused in one space. And it was so, it was very painful. Okay, so they scheduled me for the surgery. Okay. Oh, this was it was like June 27th of 2016. This was my first to find out what was wrong with my hips. And then this was my second one. And it had gotten a lot worse, he said. Okay. So then they scheduled me for surgery, and then I think you get to have it like a few weeks before your birthday, you qualify for Medicare. I don't really remember, but it was something like that. So they scheduled me for surgery. I didn't know what to expect. They don't tell you much. They say, we'll take care of you. Just here's the stuff to shampoo beforehand, and here's the stuff to, all that kind of stuff. You have to take a shower the night before. And then that next morning, I was supposed to take a shower, and something happened, and we didn't have water, and I was about crying, and Jamie had to bring buckets of water in. I don't know. It was something horrible like that. I can't remember. Okay, so these were after my surgery. No, these were different ones. These were from 2018. I think I went in and got cortisone shots later. And that's what these x-rays were for. Because this was 2018, before the 2019. Okay, so it got worse. All right, so then you go in that morning, and I was scared, but I was clean because I had taken showers every minute. I did all the house things. I went shopping, beforehand, so I'd have my supplies. I shopped online, and I got wedges to prop up, and I watched all those YouTube channels, what to expect and what to get. And let me tell you, a lot of that crap is not what you need. But the main important thing you need is a lift chair. And I had ordered mine from Amazon. And the problem was, sorry, I just have to fix this curl because it's not a curl. The problem was they came in two boxes, the back and then the chair comes in another box. The back came, but not the chair. And it was lost. It came all really close, and then they sent it somewhere else and you could track it. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with half a chair? I can't use that. I need it for my surgery. So that was the first horrible thing that happened. So then I was waiting for that, but I went to the hospital early morning, and they give you the gown, and, you do everything they say, and then you get on the table, they wheel you in, and then they have you transferred to the operating cold, like cement. No, it wasn't cement. It was ceramic. Freezing table, your back's freezing, and it is so hard. I'm thinking, I'm going to die laying on this hard table. I will die during surgery. I can't lay on this table, my back. But then they put the thing on you, and then you wake up later. Angela, Angela. And oh, they just kept yelling my name, and I didn't want to wake up because it was so good to sleep. And they just kept yelling at me. So I looked up, I woke up, and there was the doctor, and I guess I gave him a horrible look because I was mad at him for hurting me or waking me up. And he goes, it's all over. It went good, but you put us through quite a fight. I did. I was asleep. How could I do that? Well, come to find out, I think they break your leg like a chicken leg. They pop it out of there. Well, mine had grown and fused together. And so it was really hard. And on the inside of my leg, I had like a handprint bruise on the inside of my leg where he had, tried to force my leg to come apart. So I think that's why I gave him a fight. But I didn't do it on purpose. But anyway, then it hurt so bad. I was in pain. And I said, I want Trevor. I want Trevor. So I wanted Trevor to come and give me, in our religion, we have a blessing, a prayer on you to help you. And I just wanted Trevor to come give me a blessing because I knew I would feel better once Trevor gave me a blessing. Well, they also gave me more pain pills too, but Trevor came in and he gave me the blessing and the pain pills worked. And then I started calming down and it felt better. And all I wanted to do was go to sleep. Please put me out. Give me something to sleep. Well, there's rules when you have your leg like this. You're not supposed to cross your leg, twist it in any way. You're supposed to just be left straight. And then you have to slide out of the bed. They get you, well, the first night you're catheterized, so you don't have to worry about getting up and go and pee or anything. I loved it. And I asked for a sleeping pill, and they go, the doctor hasn't approved it. Oh. So I was awake all night. And I know they kept coming in going, you're still awake? You're still awake? I don't know why. Anyway, then the next night, they take the catheter out. And I said, you have to? I want to leave it in because you don't have to move then. But the food was really good in the hospital, and they brought you the whole food, and oh, I loved it. Until they decided I was borderline diabetic, so they put me on the diabetic lunch and breakfast. And that was horrible. I want that other lunch better. It was much better than the diabetic one. And then every time you got out of bed, you had to do it correctly and slide your bottom over and then put your legs down. And they have help aids, a belt around your waist to help you, lift you into the bathroom, and the lift on the toilet, the hot arms on the toilet and everything. And every time you moved your leg, it felt like it went into a cramp. And I go, oh, it's cramping. And they just looked at me like, no, it's not. That's just the pain of it. But they give you really good pain pills, Oxy. So you don't remember a lot of it. I just remember dozing in and out. And I'm not a person who wants anyone sitting in that chair. I told Jamie, go home. I don't need you. You don't need to be sitting here staring at me. I don't get comfort from them over there. So anyway, he left. And so that first night I made it, the second night, and I think the third, you had to walk up and down the hall, bring a robe so you don't have your butt crack hanging out. And you have a walker, and you walk up and down the hall, and you use your walker to go to the bathroom. You're very conscious of you don't want to cross your leg, and you just get through. And I kept telling myself, every day is going to be better. Every day is going to be better. And it was. And so then my grandsons and Jamie and Trevor, they all came home. I'm in a wheelchair. I think I had purchased a wheelchair beforehand because I used it to go shopping and stuff before my surgery. I had it. So I sat in the wheelchair and they carried me up the stairs. I felt like a piano. Felt so bad for them having to carry this big old fat. And I gained weight during the surgery. I remember thinking, oh, I'll lose weight for the surgery. No, I gained it. So mad. But you're just laying there. Well, sorry, my lips were dry. So I had to lay flat in my bed because I didn't have my recliner chair yet. And that was horrible. I stayed in this room for a whole week. I didn't go downstairs because I was too scared to. Now, they had a lady come out and help check on me from the hospital a couple of times. But I had to go into the place for physical therapy. But you didn't have to do that right away. I don't know how much farther after, but you went in like 3 times a week for physical therapy. And that helped, you know. But if you were cute, the people gave you better care than if you're fat and old, then they just leave you on the machine. And I thought that was mean, and I told Trevor, they just put me on that machine and forgot about me. And he's over there giving that one lady a neck massage. I said, that isn't fair, just because she was young and cute, and I just got left on the machine, and they left me too long, and I was so sore. And so he called him and said, you know, you got to take better care of my mother. Wasn't that cute? And then they did. But I never did get a neck massage. Maybe you have to be in a car wreck to get a neck massage. But anyway, they had all kinds of tricks and going upstairs and, you know, doing all the physical therapy. And so I wanted to get stronger. I would walk around my driveway with my walker. You have a walker still. And I pushed myself because I wanted to get better. And they were going to do my second surgery in 6 weeks. So I wanted to get better to get that other one because I was still in pain with the other leg. And they put me on an antibiotic, pain pills, stool softeners. They give you a whole bunch of drugs to take home with you. Anti-nausea. I never did take those. I don't remember what else, but a whole bunch of them. So let's see what this is. This is not a very good picture. These were taken the 20th. That was a day after my birthday. I had surgery a day after my birth. Oh, no, this was a day before my birthday. I had surgery. You got to have it like it was a month before you qualified. 12, 20, 23, 12, 10. All right. So my surgery was before. Here's on the 10th. I don't remember when the date of my surgery was. But I'm going by these x-rays. That's the 23rd. They did a lot of x-rays. Here's the 20th. That one went with this one. So, here's the surgeries. Well, then they do these other ones. I'm sorry, I should have looked at this ahead of time. No, that was my second one. Okay, so here is a thing they're telling me about what they did, and you can see the screws and into this hip part right here. And they drew lines telling you about it. I don't remember what they said about it. And they said that what they did. And they said that he told me that I was the worst off hip that he'd ever seen, except for one 90-year-old man that had it done. I said, what if I never had gotten it? What would I have been like? He said, you would have been, you know those old people in those movies they show sitting on the porch in the rocking chair? You would have been one of those, not being able to walk. So, oh, here you can see this one better. I can't. Now I can. This was on the 20th. And see the screws. That's what it looks like. You screw it right into your hip bone. The best thing I ever did. I hear people go, if I have another hip surgery, I just won't do it. Oh, I would in a minute. Changed my life. This is the same as that one. Okay, so then this was on the 23rd. I had x-rays on the 20th and the 23rd. Again, I don't know why they took so many. Not a very good one. You could see the screws, and this was probably when I went back to the doctor and he told me, because he marked on this one again. Now, I was a half an inch taller on this side. And so I had a limp. So I had to get flip-flops and cut the rubber out and I glued it on the bottom of my shoe that I wore all the time so that it wouldn't be so harder to walk because it was like horrible. And so he said they have lifts to put inside your shoes, but then your shoe's too tight if you're bringing your foot up inside your shoe. So I didn't want that at all. So I just got the other way I did it. And then I got sick of wearing the same shoes for 5 weeks. And so at 5 weeks, I went in and he goes, we can now do your other surgery. And I'm like, are you sure I'm ready? I was walking just with a cane then. And he goes, yes, we can do it. So they scheduled me for my second one. Now, the second one was different. I mean, the procedure was all the same. You do the x-ray, you do the nighttime shower, daytime shower, getting there, and, all that's the same. But this time, the incision was much longer on my left side. And I said, why'd you do that later when I found out? And he goes, well, and I know it was because they had such a hard time with this one, cracking it. They thought the other one would be. But my other left one wasn't as bad. And here's some x-rays of me laying down, and they're getting the x-rays. On the 9th, January, February, March 9th. And March, April, May 18th. I don't know. Okay, and then, which one was this? 18th. And I think this is the left one. I mean the right one. Okay. So then, here's the x-ray. February 25th, 2020. So February is when I got my second surgery. And this is a real good x-ray. And you can see both of the screws in the x-ray on both hips. And I got titanium hips. He said I got the Cadillac of all hips replacements. Titanium, and it'll last me my lifetime. I got the deluxe. And the first surgery, of course, Medicaid paid for it. It was like $180,000. We would have had to sell the ranch to pay for that. The second one was not as much. But the second surgery, these were months later checking on me, and they all looked good. But the second surgery is when COVID hit, and I made it right under the COVID. Then they stopped doing it. Elective surgeries. This was considered that. And so I was lucky. So then the second surgery, I had my chair right then, and in the hospital was easier because I didn't even sleep in the bed. I slept in the reclining, uplifting chair because by then I knew how to use the chair to raise you up, to get your walker, and to walk to the bathroom and lay back down. And I had been sleeping in my recliner. At first I had to sleep in the bed, flat on my back, and it was horrible. Once I got the recliner, I slept in it for months. And even after my second surgery. And I thought, how am I ever going to sleep in the bed again? Now, to me, I didn't have a huge amount of butt fat like some people do. And I'm not bragging or anything. That's just my body type. My stomach, my front butt, I had plenty. But my back butt, I don't. So when I sat, it feels like you're sitting on a brick. Like something's in there. I think it's because of the muscle they cut, and the muscle has to heal. So you're just feeling that foreign object in there, sitting on it. And I hated that. And it took like 9-10 months before that went away. But it will eventually go away. For me, it did. But you can't take a bath. You have to take showers. Get a good shower chair. You need that. I got the extended long one. So I had room to slide my leg and you can't bend it and lift it good, At first, Jamie lifted my leg and helped me get in bed and everything. But then I learned how to do it myself. There's a belt you put on the bottom of your leg and you hold it and swing it around because you can hold your legs straight then. But the recliner is your best friend, and it just makes you stand up without having to move. But you want to learn how to. Part of the physical therapy is standing up just with your hips like this. See, and I could never do that before. I would have to hold because, you know, you are in pain and not, your muscles have weakened so much. So the second surgery, I did not go to therapy because of COVID. I didn't want to get COVID. So I stayed home. I knew exactly what to do because of my first surgery. I walked my stairs up and down, exercise. I walked, it was February, but I would get on my boots because my legs were then the same length. I would walk around the driveway and try to improve, walk one extra one every day, up and down the stairs. And I did it on my own, and I never did notice any difference, their therapy or my therapy. And I knew to practice after a while, after you're approved, to stand up on your own, like I said, without using the arms. And the toilet, at first you are using those arms on the toilet to get up. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't use the aids. And they said that I healed really fast. Thank you. I worked on it. So once the pain doesn't last, they give you pain pills. They gave me 1 bottle of Oxy. And then you can't have more after that because it'll stop working. So then they gave me a different kind that didn't work as well. And then after a while, it was nighttime you wanted them the most to sleep. So I took an Ambien at night so that I could. And my second surgery, because my first surgery, I didn't get Ambien and I couldn't sleep at night. I noticed the second surgery, my doctor said I could have Ambien, so I slept better then. And my second surgery, I didn't even call nurses in to go to the bathroom because I was in my recliner and it lifted me up. I took hold of my walker, went in there, finagled around because I knew not to cross my leg. Don't bend your leg. You got to keep it straight in your mind the whole time. You don't want to do anything to cause more pain or another surgery. So it all worked out perfect. And after I healed and I didn't feel the lump in my butt sitting on rocks anymore, a brick. It felt like it wasn't round. It felt like a brick in the bathtub when I'd sat on hard chairs, but I don't feel it now at all. So there's hope. But I mean, I literally feel 20 years younger because I was in such pain all the time. I would have to get ice packs and sleep with an ice pack on my hip. It was on fire every night. And I would pound it and rub it because it hurt. You can tell when someone's in pain, they'll be rubbing. Your leg hurts, huh? Yeah, I know the signs now. The walking. You need a hip replacement, don't you? And then I took so much ibuprofen, and it helped. But you know, that hurts your liver and stuff. And my levels, my blood work, my liver was showing, you know, hurt. So I don't even take ibuprofen anymore. But after I healed and everything, I felt 20 years younger. And now after I've lost almost 40 pounds, I feel 10 years more younger. Now I'm 30 years younger than I was in 2019. My face is more wrinkled and stuff, but my body feels good. And I can run errands and oh, this needs to go upstairs, Jamie. I need some? I'll get it. I can be the runner and go get things, get the mail, get this. Before, I would make a special trip to go get a grandkid to take him to the post office so they would go in and get my mail because I was hurting so bad I couldn't do it. And Jamie was really good to help me, but now his hip hurts, so I have to help him. But we don't know what's wrong. He had his hips x-rayed a while back, and it wasn't anything like mine. I don't remember what it was, but it's not like what I have. His was, I don't remember. Can't say. So if you're going to consider it, if you're about to, just do it. I think it was 2 nights in the motel. It was like a motel. The hospital, 2 nights in the hospital. Luckily, it was in my town. It was horrible getting in the car after surgery to come home because you kind of had to sit. It wasn't very good. Take as big a car as you can. I think I sat in the back seat. No, I sat in, I don't remember, because you were on drugs. Don't shop when you take Oxy online. I bought a lot of stupid things. Um, and I don't ask for visitors. I didn't want visitors. I'm sick. I'm healing. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to see me. Do not come when I'm sick. So I didn't have visitors. I'm sure a grandkid or two came over, but that didn't matter because, even if I looked in the worst possible way, they still loved me. So it didn't matter. But I didn't want my friends coming over well, my bishop of my church came up and his wife, they came into my room, which I guess it was okay, but not really. And I know my first meal, Jamie brought me a baked potato. That was my meal. I said, Jamie, I need protein. So I had frozen dinners, so I made him cook me one of those because you got to eat. You got to keep your, nutrition up. And you're thirsty. You need to drink a lot of, liquids. And so it was my first surgery. I was worried how I would act under anesthesia. Will I be able to wake up and be okay? And I did. I survived it. Everything was fine. No complications. And every time I see my doctor, I want to go hug him. I love him. And I wanted to write a letter to him and tell him how he's my savior. He saved me from crippledness and everything. But I feel so bad because his wife has some kind of, I don't really know, MS or something like that can't be cured. And I feel so bad because he can't cure her, but he cured me. And it must be horrible. And he had a son born with a heart condition. He had to have heart surgery and everything. And I felt so bad that I had such, wonderful luck and everything. And yet his wife can't get, and she's beautiful. And she's Trevor's age in high school. She's the most beautiful teenager in high school. I swear she was beautiful. And he married her. But anyway, so I didn't want to put on a big letter about how, I don't know. I just didn't feel right doing that because he could think in his mind, yeah, but I can't fix my own wife, So I didn't. They have a beautiful family and a lovely home, and he's the bishop in that ward that they live in. So he's a real go-getter guy. He, can do everything. His dad owns a ranch, and he knows how to do all the cattle stuff too. But anyway, you don't really care about who that is. Although he's a good doctor. He's the best around. University of Utah and the hospital in Salt Lake City is where he learned the orthopedic. I don't know. I might be lying. I don't really know. But he is a good doctor. So I thank him even when I don't see him. When I do see him, I just want to go up and hug him. Thank you. You made me whole again and fixed me. But I don't because I don't want to embarrass him. But I do shake his hand. And I remember after my first surgery, and it was before I left the hospital, came and checked on me. And I said, can I look at your hand? I took his hand and looked at it. This hand, fixed me. Thank you so much. He probably thought I was an idiot. I was on drugs. And then his mother, I see her all the time. And I say, your son is a healer. He healed me. I love your son. And the son also has done Misty's knees, Parker's knee twice, Grant's knee, and Brinley's knee. They inherited bad knees from their mother. And he has done all their knee replacements and their ALCA, whatever that is that breaks in the knee. He's repaired them and stuff. So he knows our family well because he knows Trevor. So anyway, I think that's my story because I can't remember it a lot because, when you take oxys are dangerous. Your mind, you can't remember. You can't shop. You can't function. So don't take those drugs because they help, but they're wicked. And I hate that feeling of being drugged. Bleh. Well, sometimes it was kind of nice, but I want to be able to get up and do things. And so I don't want to be a druggie because I have too much to do and I have a hard enough time doing things right in my own mind. If I haven't drawn drugs, I'm really going to make mistakes and do wrong things. So I don't have a problem with wanting it. And and then beware, you will have people. I had this one girl in the community call me to see if I had any of those pills left over because she had a really bad headache. No, I don't. And then, people are desperate that are on those drugs. They want them. So we had another case in town, and I don't know why a lady had them, but her neighbor knew she had them, and she broke into her house and stole them. And she was a school teacher, the thief. And so, of course, she got fired from school, but I felt so bad for her because, she had a problem. But the house had cameras on, and so they had her on camera going in the bathroom and stealing them. So, she pled guilty and took her punishment, and she went to the rehab classes and everything. But I don't think she ever got to be a teacher again. But that's so sad because, maybe you want to lie and say, no, they didn't give me those pills. They told me to take Tylenol with codeine or something. I don't know. I'm just making all that up. Okay, so that's my hip story, my double hip stories. I'd show you the scars, but I'm all dressed up. But I know on one cruise, there was this young lady in her 50s, and she was real skinny. She had a bikini on, and on both sides of her hips, she had a scar. I said, oh, she's had hip replacements. I know that scar. This one's shorter, so it won't show if I wear the short things. This one's a little longer. But I don't care. The scar is worth it. To be able to walk normal without pain, sleep without pain, roll over, move, and function as a normal person, young person. And so it's a life changer. I don't know anyone who really had complications with it, but, they don't tell you that maybe. I don't think anybody died having the surgery, so do it. Do it, do it. And if you have Medicare, and I had the supplemental, they paid for everything. I had a deductible, but they paid for everything. So it was wonderful. And so that is my story. All right. I know everyone isn't watching this, but, if you wanted to know, you wanted to know. So I told you.